What's good, combat sports fans? Welcome back to another episode of Combat and Kick It. You already know, it's your host Bando, back at it with a fresh episode to talk about this weekend's main event. Michel Pereira going up against Anthony Hernandez. Pretty good middleweight matchup. It's going to be action-packed. Which way is it going to go? I don't know, but that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to get to the breakdown. Also, we got a huge return announcement. A possibility. It's a rumor. Not sure if it's 100%, but we're going to talk about that as well. And a slight preview of UFC 308. So let's get right into this episode. Let's go. Ooh, that intro was clean. Professional type shit. Welcome back to another episode, like I said. So, Michel Pereira, however you want to say it, is fighting Anthony Hernandez this weekend. Very, very big matchup. You got two completely opposite styles. Like, completely opposite styles. If you're hip to seeing Michel Pereira in there, you know it's one of the most unorthodox styles in the game. He uses a lot of the capoeira style, and a lot of people don't use that in the UFC. He's very, he's got weird but fluent movements. He's very flashy. He likes to bounce off of things. He'll bounce off the cage. If you're on your back on the ground, he'll throw some flipping stuff to get into the next position. He backflipped into mount once. All right, just think about that. Backflipping into mount is pretty insane. But he's going up against a guy who's scrappy on the feet, right? Hernandez is scrappy on the feet, but also at the same time, he is a dangerous man on the ground. Very dangerous man on the ground. And the reason I say this, and everybody knows where I'm going to go already, you snap back to when he subbed Rodolfo Vieira. No one expected that. No one expected that. No one could have predicted that, right? But it happened. It happens. Sometimes that's just what happens. And that's when it was kind of Hernandez's coming out party. You know what I mean? Like this snapped him into being a little bit more known, respected, and like, oh shit, okay, he's got like a dominant ground game because he just subbed a true Brazilian jiu-jitsu like savage. So yeah, he made a statement right then and there. That's the type of stuff I talk about whenever I'm breaking down fights, talking about statements. He was losing the fight at first and came back and ended up getting a win like that. Those are statements that you have to be made. Granted, it was a while ago, right? It was early on, but still, this dude is fun to watch. So you have two guys that are pretty exciting to watch. Michel Pereira in a way that he's just so different and he's so unique. He's literally the only person in the UFC that has this style. I haven't seen anybody else that really mimics this style, that bounces around like this, that does the flips, that is also like, he's not scared to attempt something, right? Attempt something so extremely unorthodox. Usually he's winning when he does it, right? He doesn't do it when he's losing, like throwing it as a last resort. He does it when he's winning the fight, and he kind of does it. It's like a mind game, too. He's good at playing that game with it. So going into this fight, what can we talk about when it comes to the two guys, right? Anthony Hernandez only seeing 2 losses. Michel Pereira's been in there a lot, right? So you got a guy who hasn't lost a lot, hasn't had that much experience, right? And then Michel Pereira, who's got over 40 fights. There's definitely a veteran status there, but skill set wise, right? Who poses a bigger threat? When you look at the style of wins that both men have gotten, they're exciting in their finishes, right? Sometimes you get some Pereira decisions, right? But majority of the time when he does get a dub, he's getting some sort of finish. Anthony Hernandez, really tough. His last few fights, right, got canceled. But his last win was a finish against a guy who I actually had. So I was betting on Roman Kopylov to beat him this night. I forgot what card it was on. I think it should say it here. It was on UFC 298. I remember I had this in the parlay, right? I'm like, man, Roman on the feet is nasty. If he keep this fight standing, he's got no problem. There's not going to be an issue. He keep this fight standing. I think the scrappiness, the style of Anthony Hernandez, the pressure he might bring might, it might fault him. It might be a problem for him, right? He might end up getting kicked in the head or caught with something nasty. Now, that's what I truly, truly thought when he was going up against Roman Kopylov. And he ended up getting a submission against Roman. And it wasn't nothing to get it either. It wasn't nothing to get it. But then you're talking about nothing submissions, right? See, I talk about the style of Michel Pereira on feet, but you can't forget he is also very dominant on ground. His jiu-jitsu is phenomenal as well, right? He's dangerous. Took Ihor Potieria, it took him 52 seconds to sub Ihor Potieria. And in the fight before that, he fought the guy that I can't pronounce his name, Michel Olajuwon, whatever his name is, the one that lost to Kevin Holland, got his arm snapped. That guy. No disrespect, I just can't pronounce those hard-ass names. It's just simple as that. But either way, he got him in about a minute in the first round. So Michel Pereira is also a threat on the ground. But I think he has to try to keep this fight standing to keep it so unorthodox, right? And do not mix up anything on the ground. Because when it comes to the ground, there's not much you can do to make it crazy unorthodox like he is on the feet, right? And if you're not going to bring something that is so different and threatening on the ground to Anthony Hernandez, you're going to be the one that ends up getting subbed. This is the win that Anthony Hernandez needs, right? He really needs this. I'm always talking about the middleweight division, having that shakeup, having that, just a little bit of a shakeup, like, whoa, what's going on here and there? You never know, right? It's an interesting division because of how much it's going up and down, right? I see Anthony Hernandez, though, as being a guy, if he gets a win, you're pushing him up in the ranks, right? Michel Pereira, the man's fought 40-something fights, right? I think 42, 43 fights. He's not going to be fighting for a championship off a couple wins in the middleweight division. It's just not going to happen, right? He's not there for that. He's there to just put on exciting fights, and he's almost like a gatekeeper in this card, I think, on Saturday night. Because I feel like the UFC is building this because they want Anthony Hernandez to be the one that they could elevate because you have room to elevate. Now, Anthony Hernandez is 30 years old, but doesn't have the experience in the octagon that Michel Pereira does. And when I say octagon, specifically UFC, he doesn't have that same experience that Michel Pereira has. Michel Pereira is 31. It seems like Michel Pereira would be like 41 because of how many fights we've seen him fight. But it's a difficult fight. This is a very difficult matchup for both men. They both have to be careful. I think Michel Pereira has to keep this one standing. Even though he's vicious on the feet, I don't think you are vicious on the ground. I don't think you want to play any which way into Anthony Hernandez's strong suit. So keep this fight standing, and I think it goes to Michel Pereira. Fight goes to the ground in any way. Anthony Hernandez gets the sub. That's my prediction. Now let's talk this major announcement, this possible return of Donald Cowboy Cerrone. I love it. I love it. He's trying to come back to get his 50th fight under the Zuffa contract. Get it. Let's go. Give it to him, right? Give him a fight. I've heard it already, a couple different options and different rumors and stuff like that. We don't even know if it's a confirmed thing that he's getting a return, but we, a lot of people, MMA fans, we're going to always, make some stuff up on Instagram, Twitter. We're going to make pictures, say, ooh, he should fight this guy, or this guy needs to fight this. You know how it goes. That's just the way that MMA social media is. But I saw somebody today say that Tony Ferguson is a perfect matchup, right? Both men are on a losing streak. If you take out the fact that Cowboy retired, both men are on a losing streak, right? And Tony Ferguson refuses to retire, right? And their last fight ended in a way that nobody wanted it to end. It was an exciting fight, man. It really was exciting. And then Cerrone blew his nose and his eye just nasty, real nasty. But that's a good fight to run back because you're talking about who's gonna break the losing streak. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't hurt Cowboy if Tony Ferguson wins. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense, but at the same time, it don't hurt Cowboy because Cowboy's coming back for the 50th fight. You know, obviously he wants to win. I want to see Cowboy come back as an absolute savage and just start starching people, right? I don't see him like battling for the championship, but that division is so boring. If he goes welterweight, the welterweight division is so boring. Let's be real. It's a boring ass division. It's stagnant and boring. Needs some help. And I would love for Cowboy to come in, right? Be the fight night king that he always used to be, right? And give us some dope main events against some guys and beat their asses, bro. Give him some TRT. Let him come in on the steroids. Fuck it. Let him come in on the juice. That's Donald Cowboy Cerrone. But they were talking about him and Tony Ferguson. That's the first fight that people were talking about. Then another fight, Cowboy and Wonder Boy, which would be a very interesting fight because Wonder Boy now coming off of a very nasty knockout, extremely nasty knockout. I think Wonder Boy don't want to, keep rocking with the young guys no more and being kind of I don't think he wants to be a gatekeeper. I think he wants to be able to have an opportunity just like this to be able to put on an exciting fight that isn't a massive fight, but it's a big enough fight to bring viewers, almost like a Kevin Holland type fight, like the way that fight was, that it's going to bring viewers, right? It's not going to elevate you to no title shot or top 5 or anything like that, but it's going to be a fun fight. Wonder Boy deserves that. Wonder Boy has been fed to the wolves many times, and he's taking it. So I got to give him props. I mean, there's some times where I was pretty pissed off with him, right? But it's Wonder Boy. He's the nicest MMA fighter in the entire game. So like I can't hate on him too much, but there was a couple times where I was pissed off with him. But either way, we're not talking about that. We're talking about my man's Cowboy. Fucking Cowboy Cerrone wants to come back. I don't know what other options you could have. I feel like those two options really could be like the perfect options for him, right? He lost to Jim Miller, so you're not going to give him Jim Miller. Maybe Bobby Green if Cowboy was to go the lightweight route, but I don't see Cowboy being able to make 155. I definitely see Cowboy being at 170 if he does return. But that could be a exciting fight. Even if Bobby wanted to go up to 170, I'm sure he'd be able to make it for an exciting fight like that, an exciting fight night main event or something like that. Just something to put on for the fans. I feel like that would be a good fight. But yeah, hopefully we do get the return of Cowboy, and hopefully it's a fair return. We're not seeing Cowboy getting fed to some young top 15 guy who's obviously gonna smoke him. Like, no, we don't want to see that. I want to see Cowboy up against somebody who is around his age, who's been fighting as long as he's been fighting. Kind of something like that. At the end of this episode, I was going to do a slight preview of UFC 308. But then I realized a preview could take another 15 minutes. And I'm not going to put out another 30-minute video because I don't think people want to watch 30-minute videos right now. I wouldn't want to sit through a 30-minute video, so I'm trying to cut these a little bit short. So I think I'm just going to make another video right after this for the UFC 308 preview, a slight preview on the main event, the co-main event, and a few other fights on that main card because it is a stacked card. I don't even think I'll be able to watch it live, but I will be paying attention to it for sure on the back end while I'm at work as best as I can. So either way, catch me on that next episode. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you know when the next episode is out. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Your boy Bando's out. Peace.